Communicative language teaching. This is the second video in a series about intercultural communicative language teaching, or iCLT. The first video briefly discussed iCLT and the first principle of iCLT. Here we will continue with the second, third, and fourth principles of Newton's regarding iCLT. Principle 2, iCLT engages learners in genuine social interaction. According to La de Pera from Sweden, culture is a dynamic construct of artifacts, which are the visible aspects of culture, such as architecture or art. It's also a construct of behavior patterns, of beliefs and values, of ways of thinking, of emotions, of communication, and of self-concept. Okay? So, can you see from the above definition how culture is a result of social interaction? So many of aspects of culture involve interacting with other individuals. What about language? Communicative language instructors believe language is used in social situations, and communicative competence means being able to communicate successfully with others. This emphasizes the interaction between individuals in communication. So, if language and culture are both social constructs and activities, why not connect them in the classroom? Don't just introduce new vocabulary. Explain the appropriate social uses of them, what language teachers refer to as the register of the language. And don't stop with just the language. Discuss the intonation variations and appropriate gestures, not separately from vocabulary and grammar, but in conjunction with. By the way, when the language classroom asks learners to use language to learn about social variations across cultures, it becomes very authentic or genuine, as Principle 2 states, even if the audience is just classmates. It still is an authentic experience. Principle 3, iCLT encourages and develops an exploratory and reflective approach to culture and culture in language. Teaching culture is not about teaching facts. Students will go out of their way to explain why a particular fact or stereotype about their culture is incorrect. So don't try to teach that this culture is always on time and this other culture is always late, because individuals don't fit into stereotypes. You could explain that there are general views of time and such country tends one way or they tend the other way. However, the point of Principle 3 is that allowing the learners to discover how their classmates respond to time and why is much more valuable than the instructor presenting themselves as the cultural expert for every culture. Create non-threatening ways for students to explore the beliefs and values of their classmates. And build in reflective exercises where students spend time thinking about what they have just heard from fellow students and how they feel about it. How does what they've learned affect their own cultural identity? As an instructor, never assume learners will automatically spend time in reflection. Principle 4. iCLT fosters explicit comparisons and connections between languages and cultures. Research indicates that learning about culture, or being told about culture, does not require me to actively consider how my experience differs from yours. Only when I explicitly look for connections and differences between our cultures will my awareness be raised. Usually, this results in cultural dissonance in one or more of the learners. Research shows that role-playing, where cultural situations are reversed, is one of the most effective teaching tools for developing conscious recognition of differences. And it's through cultural dissonance, or conscious recognition of differences, that we begin to develop cultural acceptance and new bicultural, multicultural identities. So cultural dissonance is an important step or process to go through. I find Lynn Diaz-Rico's suggestion to always compare 3 or more cultures invaluable in this case. When only 2 cultures are compared, it possibly can lead to us versus them mentality instead of the us mentality that's desired. In summary, iCLT is active. Active. Learners participate in authentic social exchanges. They take a discovery approach to the culture with reflection emphasized, and they seek explicit comparisons and connections. The last video in this series will explore principles 5 and 6.